Welcome back. The St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association has advocated for the redeployment of medical staff where needed as the country seeks to manage its COVID-19 crisis. President Dr. Merle Clark addressed the nation on Tuesday following the Prime Minister's address, saying that the aim of all stakeholders remains the protection of lives.
The St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association has again called for the population to do what is necessary to safeguard lives and minimize the impact of COVID-19. While all of the specific recommendations made by the SLMDA to tighten existing protocols were not met, the association says that now is the time to ramp up efforts to follow the stipulated guidelines. Amidst a surge in COVID-19 cases, the SLMDA recommended that the authorities institute a judicious shutdown of all but essential services for a period of 2 weeks, as well as the imposition of a curfew between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m.
My fellow St. Lucians, we urge you to mask up. It is imperative that we do take heed of the protocols which are in place to continue to protect lives. We have lost 16 precious St. Lucian lives. That is 16 lives too many. We all need to do our part. Stop the spread.
Over the past weeks, the island's healthcare system has been stretched with an exponential number of people needing to be quarantined and isolated. The SLMDA president called for a redeployment of medical staff, particularly at the respiratory clinics and respiratory hospital.
We need to unite at this point by staying apart. We're still getting too many reports of social gatherings. At this point, we really cannot be gathering. We have to protect each other. We must protect our families, our friends, our loved ones. We've done this before, and we can do it again. The enemy is a virus. It is not each other. Let us come together, St. Lucians, and protect one another. To my fellow frontliners, particularly the staff of the respiratory hospital, Drs. Giffard, Dr. Chico, Dr. Jaria, and so many others, Dr. Mathre, we say thank you. We know it's been a tough few weeks and understand that we stand in solidarity with you.
She says that despite the surge in cases, there is hope on the horizon for the country with the advent of vaccines.
We promise that our advocacy will ensure that there is equitable rollout of the vaccine and that every St. Lucian who wants the vaccine will be able to get it. We understand that there's a lot of vaccine hesitancy, and we urge you, fellow St. Lucians, to get your information from credible sources. The vaccines are safe.
St. Lucia is under a state of emergency from today, Wednesday, until the 10th of February. A curfew is in effect from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Thank you, Nisha. The country had waited with bated breath for the island's Prime Minister to detail the plan to drive down COVID numbers amid a surge in cases that saw hundreds of people from various districts contracting the virus. During Tuesday's address to the nation, he declared that the country will be in a state of emergency for the next 7 days. A number of other stakeholders also joined the national address to appeal for collective effort to curb the spread of COVID-19. During his address to the nation on Tuesday night, Prime Minister Alan Shastney announced the reinstatement of the state of emergency for the country. The state of emergency applies from Wednesday, the 3rd of February to Wednesday, the 10th of February, and includes a national 7 p.m. curfew.
Our country will go back to a state of emergency effective Wednesday, the 3rd February 2021, for an initial period of 7 days. This will allow us to further restrict movement with a curfew from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. effective Wednesday, the 3rd of February. The COVID-19 Act is being amended to reduce operation hours for businesses' operations to coincide with this curfew. Visitors to St. Lucia will now require a PCR test within 5 days of arrival rather than the 7 days. Supermarkets will remain open. Let me state again, supermarkets and pharmacies will remain open, so there's no need to panic buy. Essential services will also be allowed to operate. The full list will be published in the revised statutory instrument on WW COVID-19 response
As the Prime Minister appealed to the population to adhere to protocols, he also signaled that there is a brighter day on the horizon, made possible by the availability of COVID-19 vaccines sooner rather than later.
We've received official confirmation from the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, of the allocation of 74,000 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine ahead of schedule. The estimated time of arrival is mid to late February 2021. The Ministry of Health has prepared the plan for dissemination in a three-phased approach, commencing the first week of March 2021. The vaccine will be free of charge and on a voluntary basis. Officials of the Ministry of Health shall be providing further updates and guidance to the public as we prepare for the introduction of the COVID-19 vaccine.
The Prime Minister also announced changes to the COVID-19 Act to reduce operating hours for business operations to coincide with the national curfew. The full list of services and operations allowed to operate are published in the revised statutory instrument, which can be found on www.covid19response.lc. Meanwhile, members of the public are airing their views in reaction to the protocols announced by Prime Minister Alan Chastanet on Tuesday night.
Honestly, I listened to it, but what I'm finding strange, nobody's saying that. The foreigners come in, would they have a second PCR test? That's what I was looking for. I listened to the woman that's the president of the St. Lucia Hotel Association. She hasn't said nothing about that. Dr. Merle Clark, she hasn't said nothing about that. To me, I'm just feeling like it's porosity altogether. At least the foreigners come in, they need to have a second test.
I was watching that on my television last night, and the Prime Minister was going very well good, but I fall asleep.
The Prime Minister's speech was all right. In other words, he wants to protect the lives of all of us. So that is why he explained why the government has to take these measures. And of course, Honorable Philip J.P. did support the Prime Minister and all the other people.
No, I didn't watch it, but I heard it. And I agree with what he did, or what he said.
Why?
Why? Because the country is already in a chaos. The country has no money. Right? People are out of a job. And if we close the country, what will become of the people that haven't got a job? Right? There'll be more problems. You understand? And people will be more out of work. So I agree what he did. The protocol.
Why? But if certain places can open, why the rest of the places can't open? That ain't making no sense to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? People wearing their masks and distancing themselves. So why the places can't be open? Everywhere is essential, every business is essential now, because if I don't make no money in the little business I have there, I cannot go to the supermarket or the pharmacy and buy nothing. So every business is essential, whether it's big, whether it's small. So that man had to come back again and go back to the drawing board. You understand?
Yes, I watched it last night. Kind of okay. Kind of okay. But anything he said there, I knew that what he would be coming with. So just nothing new. I know they would not have any lockdown in the country because we have nothing, we have no minerals, we have no diamonds, nothing to sustain. So, it's good. For now, it's good. The 7 days, let's see what's happening. And remember, corona or the virus, the dog come out at night. It's there whole day.
Yeah, I watched it, but I wasn't impressed with it. It had some bad decisions in it. For instance, you have from 7, you bring it to 5. You should have bring it up to 3. It's not good. Then you have Mary Isaac come and talk about a mask the Taiwanese do for her. And yes, silly, the Taiwanese do a mask for you, but yes, silly, still put it on your face to show people how it was on your face. Gail Rigobert come and talk about devices, and his books not good. They're not good. I reveal about these books. These books are not good. You cannot have children to do that. Why don't give the children proper laptops? Proper devices so they could actually go and search and find their work on it. The PM said that's not good enough. That's not good.
The St. Lucia Labour Party has thrown its support behind the newest initiatives issued by the government of St. Lucia to help battle the COVID-19 pandemic. During an address to the nation Tuesday night, the leader of the opposition expressed that his party will support the initiatives as long as they follow the science.
The leader of the opposition, Philip J. Pierre, lent his voice to the national appeal for citizens to adhere to COVID-19 protocols during a declared state of emergency as announced by Prime Minister Shastny. The opposition St. Lucia Labour Party, he says, supports the measures implemented to mitigate the spread of the COVID-19 virus on Ireland.
Our party has always been in favor of following the professional and scientific advice as it relates to the handling of the COVID crisis. We've always said that we have to be driven by the science and the professional advice. In this regard, we have supported the government in the protocols that have been verified by science and professionals.
The opposition leader also signaled his support for the rollout of COVID-19 vaccine in country and called for equitable distribution.
My party fully endorses the use of the vaccinations, but we've heard that there is a plan by the Ministry of Health, but that we sincerely hope that that plan is distributed with equity. If we have to go from the experience of what has happened, we are not sure that all St. Lucians, particularly all solutions will be exposed and have equal opportunity to be vaccinated. We hope that the vaccinations are going to be done on a scientific and professional basis and not based on any other criteria.
Pierre recently detailed the SLP's 7-point plan in response to COVID-19. He says it shows the willingness of the opposition SLP to work with the government and offer solutions in the fight against COVID-19.
I spoke of a 7-point plan where I made some suggestions that the government of St. Lucia can follow, and our party stands ready to discuss with the government these 7 points, which we believe can help to mitigate against the onslaught of COVID in the country. We also feel that this time is a time when the country must be spoken to, and the country must be told the truth to engender trust in what is said. We have to be led by the science and by the professionals who know by experience and by knowledge the best things to do to mitigate against COVID.
Over the past few months, amid a surge in COVID-19 cases on Ireland, the opposition has been very critical of the government's management of COVID-19, arguing that the people of the country have not come first with the government. Many viewed Pierre's comments on Tuesday night as an extension of an olive branch, as various stakeholders do their part to appeal to the populace to do what is needed to get the COVID-19 spread under control. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
The Education Minister has reiterated the government's commitment to developing a globally competitive education system. Dr. Gail Rigobert made the comments during a handover ceremony of some 5,000 Learn books and MiFi devices for distribution at secondary schools. The minister affirmed that the integration of technology into the education system is no simple feat.
There has been so much conversation about how to go about integrating technology into the education system, the efficacy of previously implemented approaches, the adequacy or inadequacy of equipping students with just the artifacts of technology, and what really constitutes e-education. In a statement that I delivered in the House of Parliament, I took the time to explain the ministry's comprehensive interpretation of e-education. And that for this government and for the Ministry of Education, e-education was equivalent to an ecosystem that had at its center the integration of ICTs.
She said that inclusive education and the integration of ICTs are key features of education in the 21st century.
For those who do not know, this is the third wave of Learn book distribution taking place here in St. Lucia in under a year or so. This program started off as a pilot implemented at a select number of schools, with the third formers being the recipients. That was well before COVID struck. and caused us to accelerate the implementation plan and to incorporate all third form students in all secondary schools. However, precisely because of the need to turn to online learning or distributed learning, we recognize that we would have to incorporate the lower forms as well. We engage with the service provider and ask that he include, or that the company include, not only the curricula for forms 3, 4, and 5, but also the curricula for the lower forms.
The acquisition of LearnBooks and MiFi devices was a collaborative effort between the NTRC and the Office of the Prime Minister. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more news coming up after the break.